Friends, we begin the story with Drasa, a sharpshooter who has been hiding inside a tunnel for several hours. She's waiting for her target. Drasa had been given a mission to kill a government officer at a nearby airport. Soon, a plane lands on the runway. The moment Drasa spots her target, she takes him down with a single shot from several kilometers away. She executes the job so cleanly that the guards nearby have no idea where the bullet came from. After completing her mission, Drasa visits her mother's grave, where her father is already present. Here, we learn something important about Drasa. Every time she kills someone with her rifle, she keeps the bullet casing as a reminder. Later, she hands those casings over to her father. Drasa was a contract killer, someone who killed for money. She had already taken many lives. Even though she never liked killing people, it had become her profession. Giving the bullet casings to her father helped ease her guilt a little. She tells her father that she has received a new assignment that will last for a full year. "I might not be able to see you during this time," she explains. Her father replies, "Every year you come to me and hand me a few bullet casings, but next year won't be the same. I'm at the final stage of cancer. I don't have much time left. And if I'm not dead by then, I'll take my own life on February 14th, Valentine's Day. I have no reason left to live. Your mother is gone, and you only visit me once or twice a year because of your work. So this might be our last meeting." Hearing this, Drasa's eyes fill with tears. The scene then shifts, introducing the story's second lead character, Levi. Levi's life wasn't going well at all. He was haunted by terrible nightmares and sleep was always out of his reach. One night, after waking from a nightmare, Levi steps out of his house and walks to the seashore. There, he feels a little calmer and begins writing in his diary. Suddenly, his phone buzzes with a message. It contains an address and an urgent instruction to get there as soon as possible. Without wasting time, Levi heads to a military base, where he meets a female officer named Barto. During their conversation, we learn that Levi wasn't just an ordinary man. He was a former army officer. Not only that, he had once been a deadly sniper, with over 200 confirmed kills. Barto tells Levi, "I want to send you on a mission. You're an exceptional sniper, and only you can handle this." But before assigning the mission, Barto asks him a serious question. "If you go on this mission, is there anyone in your life who will miss you?" This question unsettles Levi, but after a moment he replies, "No, I have no one left in this world." Hearing that, Barto simply says, "Get ready. In a few hours you'll be sent on the mission. You'll need to stay there for a year." Levi is then sedated, and when he wakes up he finds himself inside an airplane. Confused, he asks one of the soldiers nearby, "Where are we going? What mission is this?" The soldier doesn't answer directly. Instead he says, "Give us your ID and your watch. You'll get them back when your mission is over." A little later, the soldier adds, "It's time for you to jump. In a few minutes, we'll be entering a no-fly zone. We can't go any further." He only gives one instruction. After landing, you'll have to walk 32 kilometers north on your own. That's where your mission site is, Levi. Still confused, presses again. "Where exactly are we going?" The soldier replies, "I can't tell you that. My uniform has a mic attached to it. If I reveal anything, I could lose my job or even be killed." Hearing this makes Levi's throat tighten. Soon after, he's handed a parachute. The plane door opens and Levi jumps, making a safe landing. But his real challenge has only just begun. It takes him 2 full days of walking to cover the 32 kilometers. Finally, he arrives at the site, only to find it completely deserted. Not even birds can be seen there. That's when he meets a man named JD. JD had been on this mission for a year, but his duty was now over. Levi was to take his place. JD leads Levi to a watchtower. At the top, Levi still can't figure out what his assignment is. When he asks JD about it, JD explains, "There's a deep chasm here known as the God's Abyss. It's so mysterious and bottomless that no one has ever reached the bottom. Your job is simple. You have to guard it." JD then explains the strict rules. You're allowed to call headquarters only once a month. No matter what happens, don't expect any contact with the outside world. JD explains, "This tower is called the West Tower. Directly across from it is the East Tower, controlled by Russia. There's a guard stationed there as well, but under no circumstances are you allowed to make contact. Your only focus is on your duty, and remember, always stay prepared for danger. You can be attacked at any moment. There are automatic guns and countless landmines set up here. If the guns run out of ammo, keep them reloaded at all times, because during an attack, they'll be your lifeline." One last thing, JD adds, "If you ever hear the sound of a loud siren, don't think twice. Just run. I don't know why, it's just what the previous guard told me and now I'm passing it on to you." Levi listens carefully, but he can't stop asking himself the same question. Why does this place need such heavy security? To answer, JD pulls out a grenade and tosses it into the deep pit. Moments later, an eerie, terrifying sound echoes from the darkness below. It isn't human. It belongs to something else, something hiding in the abyss. JD looks at Levi and says, That sound you hear comes from creatures we call Hollowmen. They live inside this chasm, and your mission is to make sure none of them ever escape. Back in 1940, the US Army sent 2,400 soldiers into this pit to wipe them out. Not a single one of them ever came back. With that, JD finishes passing on everything he knows. His year-long duty was over, and he's finally preparing to go home. He says goodbye to Levi, happy that his service has ended. But what he doesn't know is that something horrifying awaits him. At the pickup site, JD lights a cigarette as a helicopter arrives. A rope is dropped for him to climb up. Once he reaches the side, a soldier in the chopper asks for his identification. JD provides all the details, but then the soldier suddenly shoots him and cuts the rope, sending his body plunging back down. It becomes painfully clear. Whoever comes to this place never truly leaves. The next day, Levi begins his duty. He checks reports, reloads empty guns, and maintains the defenses. Days pass, then weeks, and finally a month. By now, Levi is starting to feel the crushing boredom. Is this how I'm supposed to live for an entire year? Alone, with no conversations, no entertainment? To pass the time, he searches the shelves for books. While pulling one out, he notices scribbles on the wall behind the cupboard. They're notes left by the guards who served here before him. Each message speaks of fear, loneliness, and the deadly threat of the Hollowmen. One day, Levi hears machinery moving from across the way, the East Tower. He quickly grabs his telescope and looks. To his surprise, he spots a woman. She's none other than Drasa, the sharpshooter we met earlier, now stationed at the Russian tower because of her remarkable sniping skills. Levi can't take his eyes off her beauty, but he knows he can't speak to her. The rules forbid it. Drasa, however, has already noticed him in the West Tower. Both of them begin to wonder silently, should we break the rules and talk to each other? A few days later, it's Drasa's birthday. Feeling suffocated by loneliness, she decides to take the risk. Holding up a whiteboard, she writes, "What's your name?" Levi remembers the rules. Sharing names is forbidden. But Drasa smiles and writes, "My name is Drasa." Unable to resist, Levi writes back, "My name is Levi." Drasa continues, "Today is my birthday," and she starts dancing to celebrate. She then asks him, "Do you know how to dance?" Levi shakes his head. "No, I don't know how to dance at all." She grins and writes, "Then what can you do?" Levi replies on his board, "I'm pretty good at shooting." To test him, Drasa sets a small bottle on her tower. Levi takes aim and shatters it with a single bullet. But Drasa isn't one to stay behind. She targets a bottle in Levi's tower and destroys it perfectly with her own shot. That's when Levi realizes Drasa isn't just any woman, she's a deadly sniper. Day by day, their silent conversations grow, and they start to understand each other. But one day, while they're enjoying their wordless exchange, Drasa suddenly notices movement below. She sees terrifying creatures, the Hollowmen, rising quickly from the abyss toward Levi's tower. She frantically alerts him, "Look down! They're coming for you!" Levi looks and freezes. It isn't just one or two. There are thousands climbing upward. He grabs his sniper rifle and begins firing rapidly, but the sheer number is overwhelming. Drasa immediately joins in, unleashing a barrage from her machine gun. Soon, Hollowmen swarm toward her tower as well. The two snipers fight furiously, mowing down the creatures from both sides. Then Levi notices one of the monsters has reached Drasa's tower. Just as it's about to attack her, Levi uses his sharpshooting skills to kill it from across the way. That's when both of them realize the truth. If they want to survive in this nightmare, they'll have to fight together. After the battle, Drasa smiles and writes, "This was the best birthday of my life." The next morning, Levi reloads the guns and resets the landmine. Suddenly, a strange drone rises from the abyss. It hovers, scanning him with a bizarre light, then disappears. Levi is stunned. Who sent it? Why was it here? He can't find the answer. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months. With their growing friendship, Levi and Drasa no longer feel alone. But then comes February 14th. Drasa is deeply sad. She remembers her father's word that if cancer didn't kill him, he would end his life on Valentine's Day. She writes to Levi, "Today I feel so alone. I wish someone was with me." Levi, who had wanted to meet her since the very first day, finds himself unable to hold back any longer. Levi can't take it anymore. He decides he has to be with Drasa, no matter the risk. He comes up with a wild plan, using a rocket launcher to shoot a strong rope across the chasm to the East Tower. The next morning, he fires the launcher, sending the rope hurtling through the air. Drasa steps out of her tower, grabs the rope, and ties it tightly around a nearby tree, securing a bridge for Levi. Without hesitation, he hooks onto the rope and begins sliding across. Halfway through, the slope ends, and he gets stuck. With no choice, Levi starts pulling himself forward with his bare hands. It takes nearly half an hour of grueling effort. But finally, exhausted and drenched in sweat, he reaches the East Tower. Drasa greets him with a smirk. "You stink. Go take a shower first, then we'll talk." Levi bursts out laughing but doesn't argue. He nods and heads for the shower. Meanwhile, Drasa mischievously hides his clothes and watches him from the CCTV cameras, smiling to herself. Later, the two sit together, talking for hours. Drasa shares her story, how she lost everyone, how her father was the only one left, and how by now, he must have already ended his life on Valentine's Day, just as he promised. Levi opens up too, telling her about the nightmares that haunt him and the memories of his days in the US Army. By nightfall, the loneliness that once consumed them feels far away. Drasa plays soft music and they begin to dance. Step by step, they grow closer until romance blooms between them. Afterward, Levi looks at her with a smile and says, "I wrote something for you, a poem, but I'll give it to you only when we get out of this place." The next day, it's time for Levi to return to his post. He hugs Drasa goodbye and climbs back onto the rope. She stands at her tower, watching him go. But before he can make it across, disaster strikes. Hollow men surge upward from the abyss. One slams into a landmine, setting off a violent explosion. Shards of metal fly through the air. One piece slices the rope clean in two. Levi plummets into the chasm. Drasa, horrified, doesn't hesitate. She grabs her parachute and leaps after him. She lands deep in the abyss, swept away by a raging underground river. Fighting the current, she manages to crawl out onto the bank. On the other side, Levi is luckier. He crashes into the branches of a massive tree. Though battered and bleeding, he's still alive. When he comes to, he sees a giant insect crawling toward him. He scrambles to defend himself, but the branch beneath him snaps, sending him crashing down into the roots below. The roots move, alive, wrapping around his body, trying to crush him. Before they can kill him, Drasa appears. She hacks at the roots with her knife until Levi is free. Together they scan their surroundings. Silence, darkness. The air feels thick with dread. Suddenly, creatures burst from the shadows and attack. Levi raises his gun and fires, the first bullet tearing straight through a monster's skull. Side by side, he and Drasa fight like hell until both creatures are dead. But as Levi inspects one of the bodies, his blood runs cold. The creature is wearing a tattered American soldier's uniform. Memories hit him. JD's warning. In 1940, 2,400 US soldiers were sent into the abyss and never came back. Now Levi knows what they became. Pressing forward, Levi and Drasa stumble upon a nightmare landscape. Rotting human corpses litter the ground, their bodies fused with trees and plants sprouting grotesquely from within them. It looks like some kind of virus has claimed everything. Movement rustles through the trees. More creatures are closing in. Terrified, the two sprint until they spot a crumbling church. They slam the doors shut behind them, only to be greeted by an even more horrifying sight. The church is filled with bodies. Judging by the wounds, the people killed themselves to escape infection. Before they can process it, a giant spider lunges at Drasa. Dozens more crawl out from the shadows, each the size of a wolf. Levi and Drasa fight desperately, killing the first wave. But then the church doors burst open. The hollow men storm inside. The two unleash a hail of gunfire, fighting for their lives. Somehow, they manage to escape the chaos, sprinting back into the night. That's when Levi sees it. A dark tunnel carved into the side of a mountain. They rush inside and discover what looks like an abandoned laboratory. Broken glass, rusted machines, shattered containers line the place. Levi finds an old DVD and manages to play it. On screen, a young woman appears. She explains that this was once a secret chemical missile project, worked on by hundreds of scientists. But then an earthquake struck. The missile cracked. Deadly chemicals leaked into the air. Within hours, everyone began to mutate. Lifting her shirt, she shows signs of infection spreading across her body. "We begged the military to bomb this place," she says, "to stop the virus from spreading. But they never listened." The tape ends. Levi searches further and finds something even more disturbing. A modern computer, far newer than anything else in the ruined lab. Confused, he boots it up. Files load onto the screen. His heart sinks. The lab was connected to a company called Dark Lake, a paramilitary corporation. They've been harvesting samples from the infected to experiment on soldiers, turning them into super soldiers for their own country. That's why no nation has ever destroyed this place. It isn't just a chasm, it's a weapon. Levi learns something even more terrifying. Beneath the abyss lies a massive missile. If activated, its detonation radius would wipe out everything within 4.2 kilometers. The truth is clear now. The woman who sent Levi and Drasa here, Lady Bardo, isn't just their commander. She owns this entire operation. She's been using the abyss for her own gain, and to keep it secret, she only assigns people with no family, no one to miss them. People like JD, people like Levi. And just like JD was executed, Levi realizes he was never meant to survive either. As Levi and Drasa leave the lab, a mounted creature suddenly charges at them. With a whip of its rope, it snatches Drasa and drags her away. Levi searches frantically, calling her name, but she's nowhere to be found. His search eventually leads him to a massive missile, the same one he had discovered in Dark Lake's computer files. In that moment, everything clicks. The old watchtower guards who once warned, "If you hear the siren, run as fast as you can," were talking about this missile. Meanwhile, Drasa struggles fiercely against her captor. With sheer determination, she manages to free herself, and a brutal fight breaks out between her and the creature. Levi arrives just in time, throwing himself into the battle. Together, they set the monster ablaze and watch it burn. But the path ahead is even deadlier. They move forward into a grotesque zone where humans and plants have fused together, as if part of some twisted experiment. Every step feels like walking through a nightmare. Suddenly, Drasa slips, and the plants come alive, wrapping around her. Levi charges forward without hesitation, tearing at the vines and yanking her free. He hurls a bomb into the writhing vegetation, blasting the entire system apart. Exhausted but alive, they stumble onward until they find an abandoned garage with an old Jeep. Without thinking, they jump in and speed away. Soon, they reach a rope that stretches up to the watchtowers. But the creatures have caught up, swarming behind them. Climbing the rope by hand would be suicide, so Levi comes up with a plan. He ties the Jeep to the rope, turning it into a lift. That way, they can ride upward with their hands free to fight. The monsters swarm. Levi and Drasa fight back with everything they've got, but the horde is endless. Thinking fast, Levi punctures the Jeep's fuel tank, letting the gasoline pour down over the creatures. He lights it ablaze, engulfing the army of monsters in fire. At the last moment, he cuts the rope, sending the flaming Jeep crashing down, wiping them all out. Finally, the two of them reach the top. But now they know the truth. Even if they completed a year on duty, Bardo would kill them in the end, just like JD. So they make their choice. They won't guard this place any longer. They'll destroy it once and for all, so no soldier ever gets trapped here again. Drasa suggests they escape to France. "I know a place we can hide," she says softly. "We'll get married, start a new life." Levi nods, but insists. "First, I need to go back to my tower. I'll plant explosives, and I'll activate the missile. This place will be erased forever." Levi climbs back to his tower. Just then, Lady Bardo contacts him over the radio. Suspicion laces her voice. "Did you enter the abyss? Someone turned on our computers." Levi lies. "No, I wasn't there, but Bardo already knows the truth. Security cameras caught everything. She plays along anyway. If you didn't go down there, then it must have been the guard from the West Tower. Kill her, kill Drasa, for breaking the rules." Levi agrees on the radio, but Bardo isn't fooled. She knows he won't do it. She knows they're planning to escape and expose everything. That's why she boards a helicopter and flies in herself. But by the time she arrives, Levi and Drasa have already set their plan in motion. From a distance, Levi takes the longest shot of his life, firing a bullet that strikes the tower directly connected to the missile. The sirens scream. The missile has been activated. They have minutes to escape. Levi and Drasa sprint into the jungle, running for their lives. The missile's blast radius will annihilate everything within 4.2 kilometers. Drasa makes it past the danger zone, but Levi falls behind. His injuries slow him down. Bardo realizes too late what's about to happen. The missile detonates in a massive explosion, shockwaves tearing through the earth. The inferno engulfs her helicopter, obliterating her instantly. The abyss collapses. The creatures are incinerated. Drasa survives, barely. She stands on high ground, waiting desperately for Levi. Hours pass, night falls, but Levi never comes. Tears stream down her face as the awful truth settles in. He's gone. The story jumps forward several months. Drasa, now living in France, works quietly as a waitress, trying to rebuild her life. One evening, she sits alone, reading Levi's poem. Every word carries his voice, his memory. Her eyes glisten with tears as she clutches the paper close. Then, as if fate itself had answered her grief, Levi appears, alive, standing right in front of her. Her eyes go wide. Disbelief turns to joy. She rushes to him, throwing her arms around him. And with that embrace, the story ends. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more.